Show you this. Last year we invested in this 2 years ago. These are your cupcake forms. Okay, they have holes in them. And when you go to ice them, you want to make sure that you put a nice big blob in the middle and then go around them like this. Now they're going to be smaller than the cookies. So you can see the difference in the size. That would not fit on there too well. So you would just be reducing the size of your animal that you're going to do to put it on here. But if you get these, you can send these on too, and they're not going to deteriorate or fall apart. I usually put them and use a lot of icing and put them in a plastic square, clear, see-through thing. And that way they'll last for as long as they're going to be sitting down at States, and they'll come back and they'll be in pretty good shape. You want to remember that when you do your icing, did they get a copy of the icing, Ticey? Do you know if they did?
They did, yep.
Okay, so if everybody would look at their icing recipes, I just want to explain something. When you are doing a decorating project and you just want them to grade you on how cute, how well it's decorated, you do not want to put your flavoring in your icing recipe. Okay, you want to exclude that, and you're still going to use milk, but because nobody's going to eat this, they're only going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, that is so cute. So they're going to grade how well it looks and how it has stayed together. So you're not going to worry about them tasting it. We just want to make sure that it turns out looking exactly like the picture. So you won't use your, and if it's too stiff, you can add a little more milk. If it's too runny, you add a little more powdered sugar. If you're going to use regular cupcake papers and cupcakes, you want to use a pound cake mix, because pound cake is so much heavier and it's not going to be breaking apart, and it'll last a little bit longer. But if you're planning on having it go to States, I would suggest try these. You can get them at the Baker's Kitchen online, and a package of 6, let me think, what did we pay? Probably less than $8 for a package of 6. And see, we've been able to reuse these over and over and over again. Okay, so we are going to look at these guys that we are going to be doing. Can everybody see those? Okay, those are the fox, the bear, the owl, and the raccoon. Thanks, Emmy. And we are going to do all of this except for the eyes with just icing and our spatula. And make sure that you have a fork ready, because we're going to use the fork to do some of the texture on the animals. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have a fork handy and you have some kind of a spatula or a knife ready to do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this one here, and I'm going to raise this or bring this over a little bit. I want you to be able to see. There we go. Okay, this is what we're going to be working on. Okay, and Emmy is going to do this one for you. I want the girls to do at least one of these, because I want you to work with them. Kids can do these. Some of them are a little more difficult, but the first 2 are very easy to do, and I think you're going to be just as successful as they have been. So you want to get, excuse me, your cookie out to start this, and Emmy's going to come over and she's going to lead us through this. Emmy, go ahead and stand there, honey. And I'll make sure that they can see what you're doing. Okay, she's going to be working on this white plate right here. Let's open this up for you. So what you guys are going to need for this is your dark chocolate, your lighter brown chocolate, and 2 of those little eyes. If you got the eyes, these are the eyes that we use. We use these, or we use these craft eyes. Sometimes these are fun to do too. It just depends upon which ones you want and whatever you want to get. Yep. Okay, so Emmy, go ahead. You start doing your bear and let them follow along with you, okay?
So first you take your knife and then get a kind of big clump out of the dark brown icing, and then you put it on your cookie and spread it out. And make sure you get the sides. They're doing it too.
That's good. They're following you.
Make sure it's nice and thick.
Yeah, use a lot more. Put some more on it. You want to pretty much put a good blob of icing on that because you want the hair to come out so that it's nice and furry like a, there we go. There we go. Now she's got a nice, good, thick. Good job, honey. Keep going around. And just like she said, bring it all the way out to the edge of your cookie. If you were doing it on the cake form, you'd want to bring it all the way out to the edge of the form. You'd want the icing to come all the way out to the edge. And you would want to make sure that you filled up the hole. Good job, honey.
I need a rag to wipe my hands off.
Yeah, one right over there. Yeah, if this is a little messy for you, it's nice to have a little bit of a damp rag. Yeah, I'd wait until afterwards so you don't have plaque all over your face and teeth. Okay, and then what are you going to do next, Emmy?
Can I just wipe my hands off?
Sure. Fork.
And then you take your fork and then press it around the sides like this.
Thanks. Not so hard.
Just not so hard.
I need to have it nice and thick. Here, can I put some more chocolate on there for you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to add a little more chocolate to her so that she's able to get, you see how much I'm putting on there? Wow, that's a lot of chocolate, but we want this to be really, and you don't want it to be smooth. There you go, honey. Now, give me some edges, and you want just down towards the end. There you go. Hold the cookie in your hand. How about doing it this way? Taking it and going like this. There we go. Do that some more on that side. Is that working better?
Yep.
Yes, it is. All right. I'm going to tip it up so that you can see how she has gotten the
Grab my knee clean rag.
just a minute. Can you see how she took the lines? Here, let me show you. She went like this and made the lines. And then you make sure that it's just like that. So that's what you want your cookie to look like right now. Okay, honey.
Okay.
Then what's the next step?
And then you And then you take a spoon and then get some of the lighter brown icing out. Make sure it's a kind of a big clump. And then you clop it in the middle.
Take your finger. You don't have to worry about touching the cookie or because remember, they're not going to be eating this. Nice job. Okay, just take it down like this. If it's sticking to your finger, you can put a little bit of moisture. Look, my fingers have water all over them. There you go.
Clean.
Nice.
Clean.
Okay, so now she has it looking like this. Okay, now what's the next thing you're going to do, Emmy?
Then you take your black icing.
Well, you might be able to take it off.
No.
There you go.
Then you can take your black icing.
Watch. Okay.
Put it back on.
I got it. Here you go.
And first you take your black icing and then get it down on the nose and then push it kind of
Again,
down.
if you dampen your fingers. No, that's looking good.
And you could use it to go like this.
That's
Here's
looking
it.
good.
Thanks. And then
Your eyes.
And then you take your eyes, put it right up, just right about here. Make sure it's touching
Okay, I'll show
the nose.
Okay, so that's where she put her eyes, just above the lighter brown. She put them there and then she pressed them in. You want to make sure that you press them in so that they'll hang in there for a couple weeks. Okay, then what are you going to do?
Then you take your ears.
Okay, but you got to tell them how you made the ears.
So I got
A little ball.
a little ball of the dark brown icing
Mm-hmm.
and then clumped it up into a little ball.
Now your icing can't be too thin. If you pull out enough icing and put more powdered sugar into it, it's going to be thick enough so that you can actually roll it.
And then you place it on your barrel and then kind of press down on it with your pinky. Make a teeny tiny hole.
Okay.
With both ears.
So put your other ear on.
I'm already in.
Okay, and let me hold it up for them. So now we're at this point right here. Okay.
And then you can take a toothpick or a tiny spoon and then get your light
Okay.
frosting out.
Mm-hmm. Like that.
And then use your finger to get it all off. That's too much.
You should use a toothpick to scrape it off.
It's okay.
Okay.
You can do it.
You have 2 toothpicks.
It's
I
fine.
think you have 2 toothpicks.
Just part of that.
No, I accidentally stabbed it in the zeal.
It's okay. Can you pull it off? There you go. Okay, so she took a little piece off.
It won't work.
Sure it will.
And then you do the same thing for the other eel.
Go ahead. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I think we need a little more in that one. Oh, that's great. Nice job. Okay, so here we have our bear that she did. Okay, are there any questions on that one? So we've got 2 bears here. This is the one that was done a week ago over here, and a lot of the icing is crusted. So that's not going to come apart, you guys. That's going to stay well. And then here is the one that she did today. Now, if this one sets for a while, her icing is going to set and it's going to hurt. The eyes will stay in it and those will travel very nicely.
We also had some chocolate chips in our bags, so I used a
Okay.
chocolate chip for my nose.
Oh, that works. You can see
Just
up there.
something to think about, being a little bit creative about what you can use.
Yes.
You can use all frosting, or
you could also use a black jelly bean on top of the brown, the lighter brown. You could, yeah, you got to just be creative. Anything that's gonna, your jelly bean is gonna last a long time. So if you used a jelly bean, or if you use the chocolate chip, the nice part about that is it's gonna, once you anchor it into the icing, it's gonna stay for a while. So you got to think, okay, what can I use that's going to last for at least a couple weeks? Okay. Thank you, Emmy. Candace is going to bring her tray over here. And now we are going to switch to doing the fox. So this is the one that we're working on now. I'm going to get out another cookie. Okay, honey, go ahead. Anytime you're ready, you let them.
So once you have your first cookie out, you're going to take a nice glob of white icing and spread the cookie in white icing. You want to make sure the icing on your cookie is pretty thin, but also, well, not very thin, but smooth. Now, once you have all your white on, you're going to take a clean knife and you're going to take a scoop of orange. Now, you have to decide where you want your cheeks. But before you use the orange, can I have a toothpick?
Yes, I thought you had a couple on there.
No, I didn't.
There you go. You may need to grab some toothpicks.
You want to use a toothpick and you want to outline where your cheeks are going to go. I kind of outline my cheeks.
Pick it up. Let me see. Oh, you did? Okay.
And once you have your cheeks outlined, you're going to take your orange and you're going to glob that above the cheeks. You want to be careful to try to not get any orange where your cheeks are. One way you can do this for the nose right down here is you can take your knife and you can pull the icing down to your nose. You want to make sure you don't spread your orange too thin or too thick. It can be, you just don't want it too thin. It can be pretty thick, as thick as you want, really. Now, once you have that spread out, you don't want it to be too smooth either. Now, you can either use your knife to do this or you can use a fork. You're going to take your fork and you're going to just kind of wave it back and forth like this through the icing and make it look like hair.
You're fine. Make sure it covers the.
And again, you want to make sure that it covers where your cheeks are. So the next step, the nose,
No, you want to do that last. You want to place your eyes.
So we're gonna put our eyes on our cookie. You want them to be right here, right about where the arch starts.
Good. Do your ears. Water?
It's gonna come right through. I was drinking out of that, but that's okay. So I'm gonna do the ears next, but I'm gonna get my fingers wet so that the icing doesn't stick to me as much. Kind of like the bear, you want to ball it into a ball, kind of. And once you have your ball, you can place it on the fox where you want your ear.
What color of icing are you using for your ears?
I'm using orange.
Can you tell her how we got the orange? We started off with the light brown. Okay, to get your orange, you're going to start off with the lighter brown, which is white icing with just a little bit of the Hershey's chocolate into it so that you get a nice light color. And then you're going to turn around and you're going to add, how many drops of red did you add?
I think it was like 4.
4 drops of red to it, and that gave it more of a red hue. So so you take it from your dark brown or your light brown, make it dark brown, or your light brown, and then you put 4 drops of red food coloring in it.
Okay, so once you have the balls on, I have 2 little marshmallow ears here, and I can show you how to make them. So you're gonna take 1 marshmallow and you're gonna cut it in half with a knife. And then you're gonna kind of mold it into the shape of your ear you want for the middle. See, on this one, I did mine kind of like triangles right here. These are marshmallows. Okay. So you kind of just want to force it into the shape for the ears. And once you have your marshmallow ears, you're going to place them in the center of the glob you put where you want your ears, and you can twist them to point out or straight up. And you're going to take the end of the glob and kind of make it into a point. You might need to pull off some of the excess icing. If you do have to pull it off, you want to take your clean hand and put it on so you don't get the marshmallow orange. And last but not least, the nose. So we're using black icing right here.
That was close.
I'm going to use my little spatula to pull it off this here. And the way we squeeze it out of the tube to like a nose, but you can use fresh stuff or hardened stuff. I'm going to place it right down here and kind of use my finger to slide it off. And once you have your nose on, there's your fox.
Very nice. Put that one next to here and we'll show them together.
Both of them?
So there you have the one. Well, let's keep it the same as it was. The one over here was done a week ago, and this is the one that you've got today. And again, if you let this sit long enough, it's going to be able to stay. Nothing's going to come off of that. So you're going to have something that's going to be able to be sent on if you get the opportunity to do that.
Wait, Grandma.
Okay, I'm going to move these over to here.
I'm going to take a picture.
Okay. So we've done bears and fox. And is everybody still with us? Or do you need a little extra minute or two before we start the next one? Okay, we're going to go to doing the raccoon next. So you're going to need to pull out another cookie. And I'm going to push this stuff over here. Let me grab my icing. Now to get gray, you're going to take white and you're going to mix a little bit of this into it and you will get it to the color you want. If you want a dark gray, you just keep adding a little more of the black to the white icing. So my color is going to look like this. And we are going to take one of the cookies. So we're going to start again with a plain cookie, just like this. And just like in with your bear and your fox, you need to put a good amount on your thing. I always put it in the middle. And then I just start to go around. I keep turning the cookie, making sure it's nice and out to the edge. And you want to have fairly good thick amount. If I'm going to get it off my, I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to, so that it goes into the cookie. Okay. Step number 2, take your fork. And with this one, you're just going to kind of make edges across like this. And you're going to do it all the way around. Just kind of like that. Okay. You want to make sure that you've almost come to the edge of your cookie. All right. Step number 2.
Oh.
Step number 2 on this one is going to be the black eye bands. This was, I found, fairly difficult to do. If I was going to do this one for a show, or if I was going to do this one for competition, these black eye bands I would be using fondant for, because I could roll them out and I would be able to cut them exactly the way I wanted them and then just lay them into the icing. But we are going to take, let's see here. Hannes, could you get me some clean knives? Just hand me a clean knife. I put some blobs of the black on some tin foil and tried to let it sit so that it was a little easier to, thank you, honey, to work with. If you use it straight out of the tube, it's really hard. So I'm going to do both so that you can see it. Okay, do you see how I'm just kind of flattening it out a little bit and pulling it out where I want it? And I'm going to tell you, this is hard. This is why I would do it with a fondant. Okay, so I've made that. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like straight from the tube. So if I'm doing it straight from the tube, I'm going to, and I'm going to get this close enough so you guys can watch me. I'm going to take it and I'm going to squeeze and just put a piece on like that. And then I'm going to try to flatten it out a little bit. Just like that. If you're working on that, I know you're going to think, wow, this is really hard. It is. But just keep working at it. until you get it to look like your masked bandit. Okay. And then your next step is going to be to put your eyes in it. Just like that. Okay. Next part is going to be hard too. If I had an icing bag, I would be using an icing bag to put these two big things here, the hair that comes over across it. I would be using an icing bag. But again, I think we can do this. So I'm going to grab myself a little piece of white icing, and I'm going to edge it off of my knife so that it's right above there. And this works. You can see. Here, I'll hold it up. You can see. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to get another little piece about that long. And I'm going to do it on the other side. Again, I'm going to work real gently to work it off. And it's got to be pretty thick so that now you have this. Okay, now we're going to do the ears. And the ears are going to be done with your gray icing. And my gray icing is pretty thin. So if I was thinking ahead of time, I could have made it a little thicker, but I'm going to do just what Tanis and Emmy did. I'm going to take a little blob and I'm going to plop it down where I think it would look right on my, and just kind of pat it in there. I'm going to take another blob, about the same amount. You got to kind of, and you're going to again, even though they may not look absolutely perfect, that's okay, because we're going to do the same thing that Emmy or Tanis did with hers. We're going to take a little marshmallow and place it right in the center and then press down. Oh, and you want to be careful you don't have any other colors on your fingers. And here's your other inner ear part. So you have that. The final part to this one is his nose. And I let this piece of black sit out for a little while so you can see I can now pick this up in my hands. So I'm going to put this right where I want it and then just kind of pat it down. There we go. Okay, so this one was done a week ago. And this one was the one that we finished today. Okay, I'm going to move those over to another, and we're going to go to our last one. And you can see that this one is going to be the owl. Now we're going to be able to do this one in a couple of different ways. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Emmy. So you need to grab another cookie.
Can I wash this? Yes.
Okay. And we're going to start with the underneath color, which is again your dark chocolate. You want to get a pretty good amount on your knife. And again, I start and put all my stuff in the middle, and then I just start going around. Okay, I'm going to get a little more. So I've got a good amount on this cookie. You can see even from the side. See how nice and thick it is? And I would do the same. If it was on here, I would still have the same amount. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ice this for you so that you can see how and what this looks like. So I would start this with a big bunch in the middle. Now remember, this is plastic. So you want to make sure that you have enough on it so it would look like that before you started decorating. And I have to tell you too, when you do this, the icing is going to be heavy on the top. And so you want to be careful when you're putting them down, because what's going to happen is they're going to feel like they want to tip like this. When you're putting them in your plastic container that the judges can see through, you want to put a good amount on the bottom like this, and you're going to use this as glue. Then you're going to press it down so that as it dries, it's going to be just like glue. Okay. Back to our owl. Okay, the next part of the owl is you want to get your fork out again, and you're going to start at one end, and you're just going to come up like this. And you're going to do it on the other side too. Okay, so that the sides look like they have lines in them, but you don't have to worry about the top or the bottom. Okay, then you want to take a knife and a little glob of white. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a little glob here and a little glob next to it. Now, if you don't have the big googly eyes, you're going to want to pat that down a little bit. You're going to want to pat that down a little bit so that you can put a piece of black on it. Another piece, a little bit of black from your black tube right there.
They should have either black sixlets or chocolate chips to use for the eyes on the owl.
Okay, I'm just going to press down in. So if you have the sixlets, go ahead. You've got to use the icing as glue. So you're going to press them down in just like that. Press your sixlets down in. And then we're going to take the lighter brown, and we're going to make the parts over the eyes. Just kind of pat it into place there, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the fork again.
Do you want me to wash that little spoon?
Just like that. Make sure they have nice big eyebrows. I do need another fork. I need a fork.
I'll grab you one.
Okay. Take your fork again and just kind of make little bits of, you want to hold it down and kind of spread it out like that. And it's okay if at the edge you have some pieces that are just coming off of it and sticking out of it. So that you would have some edges that were coming off of it like that. Okay, next. The next part is the part that if I was, again, using an icing bag, I would have an icing bag that I could make little balls because we want to make this little part underneath here. So we're going to do that. If you have a little spoon or a big spoon, take a part of the lighter brown. If your icing isn't too thick, you can start. I dropped it. Okay. Okay, so there's the one. You want to start at the bottom and you want to do 4 across. So that's 1, 2, and they can touch. 3, 4, and I'll probably put a little one. Those were pretty big, so I don't know if I'll get 4 on there or not. Okay. And then you put the next row. One, 2, 3, 4. Wet your hands a little bit if you need to. If it's sticking too much to your fingers, you can wet your fingers. And then your last row. You're going to put one underneath the eye, but you don't want to fill in that next space because that's where his little nose goes. Now the nose could be a lot of different things. If you had something orange, what are some of the candies that you guys? No. Yeah, circus peanuts could do it. I'm thinking of something smaller. Jelly beans could do it. There's lots of different things.
M&Ms?
No, M&Ms aren't orange. Okay, so you're going to take another piece of your black. I'm going to use black nose today, and he's going to have his nose stick right in there. And then I'm going to bring up the little ball right next to him. And then you can put a couple balls on the other side too. I'm going to put an extra one right here. This is supposed to be his feathers right underneath on his breast. And of course they okay. I'll hold him up.
And I can take a picture.
Okay. So it should look pretty close to that, or however you guys looks like it finishes up. This was the one that we did a week ago, and this was the one that we did today. Okay. So there we go with this.
Wait. Got it.
And then with this one, we'll add it right there too. Are there any questions on any of them? Push this back up.
Can you guys turn your cameras on and show us what you made?
Yeah, we'd like to see them. Let's see.
These are super cute. Thanks for
Let me
doing
see,
this.
guys. Let's see what you guys made. Oh, those are good. Look at that. Let's see, Kelsey. Do you have any that you want to show up? Oh, nice. Look at that. Let's see here, over here. Oh, look at that.
They all look great. Good job,
They
guys.
do. The more you guys practice, the better you get. That's a good one. Look at that little fox.
That is.
That's cool.
They're all good.
They're all
Yeah.
very good.
Owl.
Yes, look at the owl right there. Look at here. Isn't that awesome? Very good. Thank you so much, you guys, for being a part of our class.
Thank you. We had fun.
Okie doke. We'll do more again sometime. Come over and say
Thanks,
hi.
guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks to make Valentine's cards and a Valentine craft.
Oh, that sounds like fun too. See you guys.
Thanks.